if I want to visit the Dead Sea, just like to have like a day off and just enjoy myself. There's borders there. There's checkpoints. Like you're sitting in the car and there's a soldier right next to you and they're pointing a gun like at the car. Like you're just like so nervous. What if something happened?
Welcome back to the Talk Midland podcast. My name is Logan Richetti with Modern Realty. Today I have a special guest with me, Areen Khoury.
Yep.
And I got it right.
Yep, you got it right, Areen. Thank you so much for having me today here. I'm happy to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you about AK Microblading, which is your small business.
Yep.
Which you run out of the house that you bought that was my listing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I do work from home. I just had to do like a separate entrance for my clients and I flipped the guest room. It's like a bedroom. And I flipped it into like a small studio and I extended the porch, put a door instead of a window, ripped the carpet, and I just have a bathroom right next to the bedroom, like right next to the studio where they can open the door and use the bathroom. So, and I'm also licensed and insured by the state of Michigan, the health department here. So everything is, like super nice. It's cozy. And I've never had one client who complained about like me working from home. They just love it. It's like a spa day for them.
We have a lot to talk about, but first I'd like to know what exactly microblading is.
So microblading is semi-permanent makeup. It's something to do with the eyebrows. And I use a hand tool. It's a blade to create like tiny, teeny hair strokes that look like actual hair. And it just blends nicely with your actual hair. That gives you more of like a fuller, thicker looking eyebrows. And it's permanent. It's going to last for like about 1.5 to 2 years. And then you just come once every 2 years to get like a touch up, freshen up the hair strokes, the color and all that. So it's more like a tattooing. So, and I don't only do microblading. I offer like different techniques when it comes to like brows, like combo brows, powder brows, or like lip blush tattoo where we work on the lips to give you more like symmetrical definition, symmetrical looking lips, and we add like a color to the lips because like some people have like lots like pale yellow, white in their lips that we just give them like a soft pink color to their lips. But it's all like permanent makeup. It's tattooing, but we work on the second layer of the skin. It's not like an actual tattoo where you get a tattoo on your body that lasts for like years. This will fade if you don't do these touch-ups every 2 to 3 years. So
wow.
Yep.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I've never been into this. Now I love it. I actually went to school to be a teacher and work with special need kids, and I already had a job back home before I moved to the US. But when you move from a country to another country, you lose some credits, you lose some hours that they wanted me to go back again to school for another 2 years that I did not want to do that. So I worked as a substitute teacher. Then it just happened, and it's been like almost 6 years for me in business and doing eyebrows and all that. So,
well, let's go back to your beginnings.
Yep.
Where are you from?
So I'm originally from Palestine. My nationality is Palestinian. I was born and raised in Bethlehem, where Jesus was born. So I live about 5 minutes away from the Nativity Church. So yeah, wow. I'm Christian, Middle Eastern.
So can you describe what it's like to grow up in Bethlehem?
I loved living in Bethlehem. I loved the weather, the climate. We don't really have like any snow. It's super nice. It's more like Utah, Arizona weather. I would just, describe it to these states. But I loved living in Bethlehem. Like you have like a big community around you, like friends, family. You never feel like you're alone. Like it's hard, like when you're living in a different country that you don't have any friends and family around you. Like if you just needed someone, like you have a friend there, you have a cousin there. And I do come from a big family, like we're 4 sisters, 1 brother. And, we have like a really close relationship that, it's just like nice to have that support system. And this is like one thing that I do like miss here. Like I don't have that support system here, when it comes to my side of the family. So, but, Bethlehem is such a beautiful town. It's easy to go anywhere that you want. You don't even need a car. Within like 10 minutes of walking distance, you just get to like any store that you want. But I loved also about Bethlehem that we celebrate big when it comes to Christmas, Easter, like the whole month of December, we're just like celebrating. Even at the Nativity Church, like they have like a big space where they put like a big studio and like they have people come in, sing, worship, and they put like a huge Christmas tree and like we do like the count, like we count down and all that. It's super nice. Like when it comes to like like religion and like religious things, like we celebrate big. Even like Easter time, like the stuff that we do, like during like Palm Sunday and all, like, you know, the celebration that we do through the whole week. It's just like super nice that here I just feel like during Christmas time it's more about buying gifts and, you know, like you just gather with family Christmas Eve the next day, and it's like nothing special where it comes to celebrate Jesus. So I feel like there's always something special about it. It's like the land where Jesus was born, and I love that. I love the fact that I was born and raised in that country, in that city. So yeah, this is what I love the most about, you know, Bethlehem, that it has like a lot of thing to do with, you know, religion and all that. So, and I'm not a very religious person, but I consider myself like I do practice, you know, being like a Christian people and all that. So yeah.
So in Palestine, most of the residents, the citizens there, are not Christian, right?
Yep, there's Muslims, which is there's a big percentage of Muslim people, and yeah, there's some Christian people, but it's not as much. Like the Bethlehem area, there's barely 2% of Christian people that left in the area. So, but it's mostly Muslim people, and there's Jewish people as well in Palestine.
So what is it like growing up a Christian in Palestine?
So I would say like when it comes to being a Christian in Palestine and living with other like another like different, not different people, but like people that believe in something else, like Muslims people or Jewish, sometimes they're not really open to talk about their religion, or you kind of feel like you have to put your limits and stay away. You just like don't want to get involved, especially when it comes to living like out in the country or like the small villages that they're not open-minded. Like the Bethlehem area, to have Muslims people and Christian people at the same time, we blended in like really good. We had like, I do have Muslims friends and all that, but we blended super like well together, because I feel like with the Bethlehem area, it's more like modern. There's so many things to do. There's lots of restaurants, bars, there's so many tourists visiting the area that you just have to blend with everyone. But if you travel within like half an hour like from Bethlehem, there's those small villages that mainly there's lots of Muslims people with closed-minded that you don't want to go there. So like sometimes when we travel to those areas, or like for example, my family have a business, a shoe store, and we always go to Hebron to buy like the shoes and like the stuff, the purses, the scarves and everything for my parents' business, for the store. So my dad, when we go to Hebron, there's no one Christian person living in Hebron, that when we're going there, you have to like wear like the long stuff, like long sleeves. You just have to put like a scarf, kind of like cover yourself.
You have to cover your face as a woman?
Not my face. No, not my face. I would just like put like a scarf around like my chest, my shoulders, wear like a long jacket. So just because in that city, like this is just one city, there's so many cities like that, but Hebron, I remember exactly Hebron because we always used to go there just like to buy stuff for the store. My dad, he was like, no, we don't even go like to a restaurant and eat and all that, just because, you know, it's like everyone is looking around you if you're showing your hair. They're looking at you. Like when you go to Hebron, everyone is like Muslim people. They're just covering their head, their hair, even like the face and all that. You could barely just like see their eyes and and all that. But for us to be a Christian and go to Hebron, I have to be like fully covered, even like long sleeves during summertime, and it's like so hot in like the like that area, like the West Bank area. So yeah, it was a struggle in some areas, but I would say mainly in Bethlehem, we just like blended in like super nicely. We had like a really close relationship. Even my parents, my mom, she works at a hospital. She has lots of Muslims friends, and she would invite them over like during Ramadan. Like she would like prepare a meal, dinner for us, like for them, and they would like come in, and like we just like have a really good conversation and all that. So it's just like some areas, but the Bethlehem area, it's like very modern. They have like so many things to do, especially when it comes to tourists. So, and I feel like when tourists visiting the area, it just like makes us feel like, you know, we're like more open-minded to get to know people, and, you know, like try to be less when it comes to like culture and tradition, because like sometimes if you just want to follow culture and tradition, it's so strict that you just can't be open enough to be yourself or like blend nicely with other you know, people coming in from like different countries or like different religion.
If I were to travel to Bethlehem today, what sites would I see?
So I would, first of all, I would go to the Nativity Church, just like to visit that holy place where Jesus was born, and to see the star where Jesus exactly was born. And like when you go down there, like you'll see like the whole, it's like a grotto where they had the cows, the sheep, everything. They kept so many things. So this is the first place that I would go to, which is the Nativity Church, and it's in Bethlehem. But there's so many places around the Bethlehem area, like the Jordan River. You also want to visit the Jordan River where Jesus was baptized. I would also go to the Dead Sea, just like to experience like it's the Dead Sea is, if you ever go to Palestine, this is also like you need to visit the Dead Sea, just like to experience the water, the minerals, like the mud that it just like heals your body. Like every time you go in the water, you get out, like your body feels so silky and it just heals. A lot of people from all over the country, they go visit just for like medical stuff, and just like to dig in the water, grab the mud, and you'll just rub it on all over your body. So there's so many places that you could visit when you go to Bethlehem, or like even Jerusalem. And they would also, like when there's like people visiting the area, like tourists, they would also take them to the Muslims sites, like the Al-Aqsa, like where most people during Ramadan, they just love to go there and do their prayers. So yeah, there's so many like holy places that you would go visit, but I would go first to the Nativity Church and experience like Bethlehem vibes. It's so beautiful, and there's so many good restaurants that you could have a really good food, like falafel, shawarma, the hummus, the fresh baked bread, the tahini salad, the tea. It's very popular that when you're eating, they always serve tea with your meal. So it's very delicious. There's so many souvenir stores around the area that you could just buy small crosses, nativities, bracelets, like rosaries, like anything to bring back home to gift your family. So it's like during Easter time and Christmas time, it's so busy because a lot of tourists are visiting the area. So if you ever had the chance to visit Bethlehem, I would encourage you just to go there, because I feel like everyone that goes there have like they have like a really great experience there. You would not be disappointed.
I don't understand a lot of this history, but I know that it is incredibly turbulent, and there are a lot of different political forces at play.
Yep, there is.
Can you simply break down, based on your understanding of history, give us a breakdown of the conflict over the course of the last few decades, just so we understand what's going on?
Okay, so I would say Palestine has been always, like you would find, like Palestine was on the map for like a really, really long time, for so many years. I would say back in 1940, Palestine was occupied by the British, and they decided that they want to move out. But they were looking at the same time to find another government or like a different people to come in to Palestine and take over their occupation. So at that time, around like 1945, 46, there was the Jewish people. They were in Germany, and they had been killed by Hitler. So they were kind of like running from Germany, like all over the area. So the British decided to help the Israeli people to like kind of rescue them from Hitler killing them. So they decided to give them a land that it's not even for the British. It's our land. It's Palestine. This is my land. So they promised them a land that it's not even like theirs. So
This is Israel you're describing?
no, it's Palestine. I'm like talking about, but
Okay.
Israel did not exist at that time. There
Okay.
was no Israel. Israel did not exist back in the 1940s something. There was Palestine, but it was occupied by the British government, and British decided to help Israel to run away, escape from Hitler, and they gave them our land. They gave them Palestine. So at that time, around, I would say like 1945, 46, British, they left and they gave weapons, houses, everything. They just handed it out to Israel, and they took over their occupation. And when they came in back in 1946, 47, they started to kill Palestinians and take them out of their villages, their houses, kill kids, babies. And it was, I don't like to use the word genocide, but there's no other word that comes on my mind right now other than a genocide. They killed so many people to take over our land, and so they can, have a place for them and for their people. So they took our land, our homes, and everything. So around that, this war been happening between Palestine and Israel since 1946, and you could see it on the map. So as you could see like the whole green is Palestine, which is my country, and it was a full country back in the 1946, and then Israel started to take over one city to another city to another city, that in 2012 there's barely any Palestine, and that green that left there, now they call it the West Bank. So if you like Google Palestine, it might not exist. It will be like West Bank. But it's been Palestine for so many years before Israel took over. So the war that is happening right now, like at this moment between Israel and Palestine, this war did not just happen back in October 7th. It's been happening for so many years, for over 75 years. My grandpa, my dad's dad, he is older than the Israeli occupation. He's in his 80s right now, and we've been occupied for over 75 years. So Israel did not exist at that time. They came in from Germany, running from Hitler, and the British people, the government promised them a land, and then they just took off. They left, and they handed them our land, which is Palestine. So yeah, it's been tough. It's been like almost 75 years, and I was born and raised under occupation. I've been through this war. I remember when I was like 11, 12 years old, that the second intifada, the second war, was happening between Palestine and Israel, and it was tough. We weren't allowed to leave the house for 40 days. They would give us 1 hour every single day to go buy the stuff that we need to buy, water, food, bread, whatever, and then come back. It's just like 1 hour from 5 p.m. till 6 p.m. And there's so many helicopters in the sky that if there's anyone out after 6 p.m., they would shoot them. So it was tough. It was tough back in like 2002, 2003. It wasn't easy to live under occupation, and sometimes it's hard for someone to understand how does it feel to live under occupation, because you've never lived under occupation. So it was tough, and it's so hard for us to travel from a city to another city. Just for example, to go from Bethlehem to Jerusalem, and it's 10 to 15 minutes driving. We have to cross a big wall, a big borders. They check your ID. You have to have like a permit, a paper where you can enter Jerusalem, and you have to apply and pay money to go to Jerusalem and visit, like, for example, like the holy sites, or if you need to go to a hospital, because sometimes Bethlehem doesn't have, like if you need to get something done, you have to travel. So you need to have to, like, a permission in order for you to enter to Jerusalem. And they will, like, you have to, like, take everything, your shoes, your belt, everything. They'll have to check and make sure that you are good to go in. Or even to go from Bethlehem to Jericho, for example, if I want to visit the Dead Sea, just like to have like a day off and just enjoy myself. There's borders there. There's checkpoints. Like, you're sitting in the car and there is a soldier right next to you, and they're pointing a gun, like, at the car. Like, you're just like so nervous. What if something happened? What if they start shooting us? Like, it wasn't a pleasant experience. Like when you take your kids and just you want to go to East Tawas, or just like go to Kaysville, just enjoy, summertime and have a good time with your family, and you're so stressed out. What if something happened? They're checking your IDs, they're checking your trunk, make sure that you don't have weapons and all that. So it was tough. It was tough. And, like, honestly, the most thing that I do appreciate in living here in the US as a Palestinian is my freedom, my own peace. Like, this is something that I would not replace. Like, I love that I have my own freedom. I love that I get to travel and go, like, different places without anyone asking me, where are you going? Give me your ID. Just like for you to travel from Midland to Flint, for example. Imagine that if you're doing it back in, like, in Palestine, you have to stop. They have to check your car and all that. So yeah, it was really horrible. I was like 11, 12 years old, and like the stuff that I do remember, like, long time ago, and it did happen over 20 years ago, I just can't forget till this day. It's traumatizing. I even remember one day during the 40 days where you could not leave the house, big tanks came into town.
Israeli tanks.
Yeah, Israeli tanks, big tanks, Israeli tanks with so many soldiers, like, walking around, and they were like heading into a building, a big building. They were looking for a guy, and his house was in that building, and we were just like right across. Like, it was like so close. And they were like, if you don't get out, with their big speakers, and you could hear them, they were like, if you don't get out within the next few minutes, we're just gonna bomb the whole building. And the whole building has so many, like, people in it, kids, children's, just like normal people, just like me and you. And so he was coming out. The second he got out of the door, they shot him dead. He was like dead, and someone called the ambulance, and the tanks would not even let the ambulance to go in and give him some help. He was dead. Like, he did not get any help. They shot him so many times. And for me to remember this, it's hard. It's traumatizing, just like the sound of the tanks, the shooting and all that. I don't wish, like, on anyone to live under occupation, because it's just so hard. And I'm just happy to be living in this country, just because now I'm married, I have 2 kids. I don't want my kids to live the same experience and go through the same things that I've been through. It's really, really hard. But yeah. And now the same thing is happening again with Israel and Gaza, where they're bombing houses, buildings, churches, hospitals, left and right. It's insane, like, the amount of bombs that they drop on these buildings. And my family still back home, and they live about 45 minutes away from all the bombings. So since October 7th, this is another war that's been happening nonstop since that day, since October 7th till this day. Not a day went by where they did not bomb. So, and they've killed more, the Israeli soldiers, they've killed more than 30,000 people, including children, babies, infants, women, doctors. It's hard. It's like it's miserable. Just like to see your own country, your own people, to go through this again and again. It's like history repeating itself. Like when Hitler was killing all the Israeli people in Germany, it's the Holocaust. I feel like it's the same thing is happening now again with my people, like innocent people that they just wanted to live. They just wanted to have like a regular life where they go to work, take their kids to school, and they did not get to do that because of the war that is happening right now.
Do the people of Palestine generally support the government of Palestine?
So to be honest with you, we don't have a really, like Palestine doesn't have a government. It's like the situation there between like the government, people and all that, it's not stable. So I would say some of them, yes, and like they do support the government and the president, and like the rest maybe like no. We don't really have a good government. So, and it's been like that for so many years. Like when I was born back in 1990, like on my passport, it says that I was born in Jordan, just because at that time, Palestine did not really have a government. And like we were, like Jordan was like kind of like helping, or like they took over our government, the Palestinian government. So in my passport, it says that I was born in Jordan, and I don't even have like a Jordanian passport. Like I don't even have a Jordanian ID. But just because this was happening, they listed on my passport that I was born in Jordan. So I don't, like since 1990, like till this day, I don't remember that we had a really good government, but yeah.
Well, what is Hamas?
So Hamas is like a group of people. They're like the army for Palestine. This is what I do consider Hamas, because I lived there. I know what Hamas is. For people who is living here in the U.S., I'm sure you were born and raised knowing that Hamas is the terrorists. They are like the bad guys. But for me, they're like a group of people. They're married. They have kids. They have families, and they're like the army for Palestine, because Palestine, we don't have an army. So when there's a war happening, the first people to respond to all the bombing and all that is Hamas. And also Hamas doesn't have the weapons that Israel have or the US have. It's, this is what I do consider Hamas.
So help me with this, because I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
And neither does anybody watching. But so Hamas was responsible for the attack in October, and from their standpoint, they are fighting back in a war that they feel that they're in.
Yep. So what happened, that Israel started bombing, and then Hamas responded back, and Israel did not like it, because usually what happens when Israel bomb, no one respond back from Gaza. They just like let them bomb for like 10, 14 days, 2 weeks the most, 3 weeks the most. And then the whole bombing stops. Then 2-3 months later, Israel will bomb again. So this is the first time back in October 7th that Hamas responded to the bombing of Israel, and Israel did not like it. That's why they kept bombing and bombing every single day. So it's been happening since that day, since October 7th.
So this is the perspective of a Palestinian person. And then we don't hear that very often in America. You don't hear the Palestinian perspective very much.
Of course, because CNN News, Fox News, any of these channels do not show you what's really happening back in Palestine. But if you go to the Middle Eastern news channels like Al Jazeera or Eye on Palestine, you would see what's really happening, and you will be shocked. I feel like now we're in 2024 that we should Google and read more stuff, educate yourself, read more about what's really happening, because you want to like teach your kids. I feel like people were born here in the US knowing that Israel and United States, they're best friends, and Palestinians are the bad guys, Hamas are the bad guys. But if you really Google and watch videos, you will be terrified. You will be traumatized. You would start thinking of your family, your kids. Oh my God, what if I lived there? Like, it's just like so hard for Palestinians to keep going through this. We honestly, Palestinians, we are not looking for a luxury life. We just want peace and freedom in our own country and homeland. This is our homeland. We just want to live in peace, like U.S. citizen live here. We're not looking for a luxury life. We just want to have a good life.
So the United States supports Israel. They're a major ally.
Yep.
So how do you reconcile that relationship with your love of America? It's tough.
It is. It is tough. Because like sometimes when I'm talking like to my family or friends, they would tell me, "Oh yeah, your president Biden is supporting Israel to bomb our country," and I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. You know, it's not necessary for me to be like supporting Biden or our government, but I love the fact that I live in a free country where it provides you peace and freedom. You get to go to work and not worry about your house. What if it's gonna be bombed, or like, what if you're gonna like lose a loved one? To be a Palestinian and to be living in Palestine is to live in constant fear of losing your home, your land, a loved one. Even you would worry about yourself. What if someone shoot me? What if I'm just going for work from a city to another city and I will like have something going on where I could lose my life? You know what I mean? It's like a constant fear. It's non-stop that you carry this fear with you till the day that you die.
What is the Israeli perspective of this issue as you understand it?
So the Israeli people, they're against Netanyahu and their government right now. And if you watch the news, they are protesting. They are with Palestine. They're with the Gaza, with the people that lives in Gaza. They don't want to see kids dying every day. They're against their government. They want Netanyahu out, the Israeli people. And I'm talking about the regular people that lives in Israel, in Tel Aviv and all that. But the people that works with the government, for the government, I'm sure they're like supporting Netanyahu and what he's doing right now. So,
well, that may be the case, but neither side wants to cede any land, right? Israel doesn't want to give land back or share or any of those things. It's all about who is in control. Hamas and Palestine and that side of the coin wants what they consider to be their land back.
Yeah.
So there's really, how do you ever come to a reasonable, solution when these are existential problems? How does that ever happen, or doesn't it? Maybe it doesn't.
So I just like don't get that, how they don't want to give a land that it's not even.
Do they consider it their land? Do they look at it and say, hey, we've been here for hundreds of years or thousands of years? What is the perspective of an Israeli position that's different than a Palestinian position?
So they just want to like take over. They don't have a land. They don't have a land. As I said, they were running from Germany, from the Holocaust, and they just want to take over any land. And luckily, it was Palestine. Unfortunately, it was like Palestine. So they just want a land to have a life and, work and build houses, go to work and all that. And it was our land. It was my land. It was Palestine. So it's not even theirs. So now the war that is happening right now, currently, it's either Israel or Palestine. And Hamas, they're not stopping. They just want to keep fighting back till like we get like it's not gonna be both. It's either Palestinians on that land or Israeli on that land.
Yeah.
So that's why the war been happening for so many days nonstop, because no one is like stopping. Like it's just keeps back and forth happening. So
that's Hamas's goal, is to take back all the land
yeah,
and remove Israel. So
yeah,
it's an
they
existential threat to Israel. Now, people say that Israel defends itself. How do you feel about that? Is that just a perspective is that their
yeah,
perspective? Or?
yeah, they do defend. Like it's just that like the nature in you as a human. Like if someone comes to you and wants to take your car or steal your house, what would you do, Logan?
Right. I
You
can
would,
feel when we talk like this, I feel the energy and the stress
yeah,
that comes from these opinions. And I'm not even an
yeah,
original person there. It
exactly.
must be
So
incredibly hard to
it
deal with
is hard, and like it's both sides are fighting back,
that.
and yeah, I am Palestinian, but I still feel
Yeah.
with the Israeli people. I just feel for them that their president stole a land and promised them a land that it was for it is for someone. It's for someone else.
Well, what about the biblical prophecies? How do those factor in?
I honestly don't want to get into it, because if you go back like to this subject, there's so much to talk about, and like people are just like fighting over it because it's
So-
it's tough.
Well, just break it down what it is. So the Bible says
So
what?
what Israeli or Jewish people believe,
Yeah.
that the Bible says that Palestine is their land.
Okay.
But for us as Palestinians, as I said before, my grandpa is older than the occupation. He's like 83 years old, and we've been occupied for 75 years. So it's been always Palestine. But if you go to the Bible, Israeli people or like Jewish people believe that God promised them Palestine.
Well-
It's for the Israeli people, not for the Palestine. So we're the one that has to leave and just give up on our homeland. At the end of the day, me as a Palestinian, this is how I look at it. Like, we're all humans. Like, it's not about Israel or Palestine anymore. It's about being a human, feeling with people, like having humanity in you, just like seeing people, both sides, been killed and losing a loved one. It's just like so hard and like tough. So I don't care. Like, I am like, I don't at this point, I don't care about like Israel or Palestine, and like I just care more about being a human and just seeing kids, babies, families going through this. Like, where's like it's just like it's stuff that all the presidents all over letting this war to keep going and going without no one doing anything to stop it. And for me to be a Palestinian and to be living in the US, knowing for a fact that most of our tax money goes toward Israel and to buy more weapons, bombs to kill more Palestinians, it just like breaks my heart that I feel like I'm stuck in the middle, that I just like I like there's nothing to do. Like, I can't do anything. Like, honestly, when this war started to happen, like the first 3 to 4 weeks, I just was watching the TV the whole time. I was like, oh my God, like, I just can't believe this is happening. I was like, this is traumatizing. I just did not want to watch the TV. Like, I was like I would tell even my husband, I feel like I'm having a heart attack. Like, my chest hurts so bad that I feel like I can't breathe anymore. Like, why would this happen in 2023 and keep happening into 2024? It's just like so hard to see your own country, your own people going through this without no one doing anything. And Gaza is like an open prison. Like, it's like, honestly, it's like an open prison, and you can't leave. You can't leave. Like, Egypt right next to you. Jordan is right next to you. Syria is right next to you. Like, Gaza is on the borders with all these countries, and no one is letting Palestinians that live in Gaza enter and run away from what's happening to them, like with this war happening. So they want to keep them in Gaza because this is their land. Okay, we're gonna like, for example, if Egypt took like some people just like to help them out and gave them shelters and all that, they will never get the chance to come back to their homes and their homeland. Once you leave, you're out. There's no coming back. So it's just like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like, you always want to fight for your homeland, for your house, for where you were born. So it's not easy to leave everything behind you and just move on.
Well, you did. Tell us about your journey. Let's go a little
So,
lighter for a
yep.
minute.
I did, and it was like a really tough decision. And
Yeah. How old were you when you left?
I was almost 25 years old when I moved to the U.S.
Did you come alone?
So I got married and I moved with my husband. So my husband is originally from Bethlehem too, but he was born and raised in here. He was born in the U.S. He was born in Bay City. And it was tough. I moved here back in 2016. It's going to be 8 years for me next month in March. So it's, it flew by so quick. I feel like it just happened yesterday.
Did you know English when you moved here?
Yep, I knew English. But when I started like to have a conversation with people, I was having a hard time. People here talk too fast. And I would call my husband. I was like, Samir, come here. Like, just like help me, like talk with me. Like, I'm just like having a hard time understanding because they're like speaking so fast that I could not even understand. But I feel like the more I was like talking to people when I worked as a substitute teacher, just like being around people, like you'll just get better and better. And I also went to a private school. We were in a Catholic school private schools, they do teach excellent English. So like before I moved here, I already knew how to speak English, and I do a good job. I do speak English fluently, but as you can see, that I do have an accent. And a lot of people, like, they would tell me, oh my God, you have an accent to your English, where you come from. They would stop me and ask me. So I would tell them where I come from. So.
And you took a leap when you built your new business.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about that.
I was never interested in permanent makeup or in the beauty industry in general. I never knew that I would be doing this for like for forever, like for a life. This is like my job. Like, so I'm just gonna keep going and going with my business. But I never knew that I would be interested in permanent makeup.
Well, walk me through the process of coming into your home and having some work done. I assume it's mostly women.
Yeah. So I did few like men, maybe like 2 or 3 or 4, maybe the most. But yeah, it's mostly women. It was actually my husband's idea. So as I said, I went to school to be a teacher, but when you move from a country to a different country, you just lose credits, hours. They wanted me to go back to school, which I did not want to do that. So my husband seen someone on Instagram doing microblading, and he was like, you should get into this. So he started looking up academies, classes, and he did sign me up back in 2018, 2 years after I moved here. And we went together. He took me there. We drove together to Troy because it was so hard for me to drive downstate, like to be on the highway and drive alone for 2 hours. It was like too much for me. So he signed me up with the deposit and booked a hotel. He came back after like few days to pick me up. So it was like 4 or 5 days of a class. This was my first class back in 2018. And then I started, my business, where I started in the downtown area in Bay City. I was renting like a small room inside a spa on Washington Avenue. And I worked there for almost 3 years. Then COVID happened. And 2020, I honestly did not work much, but I was hearing the whole time that people could work from home. So I was like, I could do it. Maybe I need to like reach out to the health department and see if I could work from home. So the guy came in and he was like, yes, of course, just extend the porch, put a door so you can have a separate entrance for your clients, and you have a bathroom right there. Just, kind of remodel, put some stuff, rip the carpet, put flooring. And I did all that, and he came back and he was like, you're good to go. So I've been working from home since October of 2020, and it's been a little bit over 3 years, and I love it that I could do my own job from home, where like this is the safest place where you could be at, like my home. And my clients loves it. And I always mention, when someone book with me, I would send them a text message letting them know that I do work from home. I decided to build my own studio out of my house. It has like a separate entrance for your convenience and all that. So I always mention to my clients that I do work from home, and they love it. And it's not like my kids are running all over the place. My both kids go to school, and I work 4 days a week, like from 9 to 5, 6 the most. It depends. So, but yeah, my first class was back in 2018, and every year, I've been like taking one more class each year. I have so many certificates, and I did so many trainings, and I keep up with online training. My last training was in Utah. Was my first time traveling on my own out of my state to do a training with someone that she inspires me, and I love her work, and she specializes in microblading. So I was like, I'm just gonna travel, see her, learn from her, see what she's doing, her technique and all that. And she has her own brand, like the products, the blades, the needles, even the ointments to use for the after care. So I decided to go to Utah, to St. George, for like 4 days. It was amazing. It was such a great experience. I've learned a lot. And I don't mind to invest in myself and spend $5,000 to $6,000, as long as I'm investing in myself, and I'm improving myself, giving better job and services. I love to serve this community, and I love to empower women. I feel like eyebrows, for some people, it's just eyebrows. Like, who cares about eyebrows? But it just define your face. Like, I've heard it a lot from my clients where they don't have any eyebrows, or their eyebrows are just too light, that they would tell me, I just feel sick the whole time. And it did affect them like a lot, like not having eyebrows. But once they had their eyebrows done, they feel like they're a different person. It's just like amazing to know that you could help someone by giving them beautiful eyebrows. And I love doing it. I love to support, women, empowering women. And this is something that I've never thought in my life that I would be doing, but I'm so happy that I ended up doing these type of things. So yeah, it's been a journey for me. And there's so many people around the area that does permanent makeup, but for me, it's not a competition. I feel like if I'm going to compete with anyone, I would be competing with myself to be a better artist every day, and offer great services, and have like an excellent reputation. I feel like it's more like a journey. It's not a race. Like, everyone will have their own journey, and you're improving every single day to become a better artist and like person in general. So I love what I do. It's like therapy for me. I'm not only like helping my clients to feel better about themselves, or like the way that they look. I feel like it just helping. It's like, honestly, it's like when I do someone's eyebrows, it's like a therapy session for me. I enjoy doing it. It has so much details in it that I like to take my time and not rush my clients. I like to take all the time to give them the perfect eyebrows, and to like give them like a nice service, or like an experience in general.
If somebody wants to reach out to you to set up an appointment, how do they do that?
So they could always go on my social media, which is AK Microblading. I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and all my information are listed in my bio, where there's a website that you could read more information about the services that I offer, the frequently asked questions, and you can book through my website and just like find the day, the time, the appointment that works, good with your schedule. So it's like so easy and convenient for everyone just to get on my schedule and book online. Yeah. So this is just like a gift for you.
Thank you.
From Bethlehem. It's a cross. You can like take a look at it and just like see, it's made of olive wood, and the olive wood is like very, very popular in Bethlehem.
Wow.
I would say 70% of the people, their income depends on olive wood. And you could see like it has like mother of pearl, and then it has like the flowers, some stones from the tomb, the incense and the leaf of the olive tree, because the olive tree was like they mentioned it in the Bible. But I just wanted to give to you something from my home. So I hope you appreciate it. I don't know if you're Christian or not, but I do a lot with my clients where they come in and they struggle a little bit, and I give them like a bracelet or a rosary, and it just like calms them down, and they appreciate it a lot. So I thought I would be doing the same thing for you, Logan.
Well, thank you so much. This
You're
is very
welcome.
special.
Yep,
Thank
of
you.
course. Yep.
I love it. Areen, thank you for being on the Talk Midland podcast.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Logan.